Wretched Radio begins in 3, 2, 1.
If it brings her to the same point that it brings you, it doesn't matter whether she called it God along the way or not.
That understanding works for you, so therefore it is absolutely right for you.
All beliefs have become only relatively true, and of course to the world, religion is just some personalized experience, not a divine revelation, and the church is catching the disease.
It's time for Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
What a glorious opportunity to demonstrate the gospel. This is Wretched Radio. It is almost certain that you have seen the rather gruesome picture. Comedian, I guess. You're supposed to be funny to be a comedian, but comedian.
Don't you have to be? Yeah.
Kathy Griffin. Well, you know, the standards.
Has she ever been funny?
Who are we to judge
No
whether a
accounting for
comedian is
taste.
actually funny? Kathy Griffin, who is an unbeliever. She is very vulgar. She is very crude. She is very liberal. She is not somebody that I want my family viewing ever, frankly. But I should expect that. The world is that way, and she is of the world. She makes a living telling jokes, and she held up in a picture that was tweeted or whatever the kids do to get the things out there these days. She sent out a picture of her holding the decapitated head of Donald Trump. Now, just to make sure we all understand, it wasn't his actual head. It was some sort of wax figure, whatever, with blood coming out of it, and she made inappropriate remarks, and she was absolutely shellacked for it. Everybody went bonkers. They were calling for her head, that she would get terminated from CNN. In response to the outcry, Kathy Griffin produced a 31-second video apologizing. And she, in my estimation, did about as fine a job as you can in asking for somebody's forgiveness. Nevertheless, based on just a little bit of scouring the internet, many evangelicals are just as angry at her before she apologized as they were after she apologized than before she apologized. They do not accept this apology, and I'm just going, which is the Italian way of saying, Here now, Kathy Griffin apologizing. You be the judge. Should we Christians say to Kathy, forgiven and forgotten?
Hey everybody, it's me, Kathy Griffin. I sincerely apologize. I am just now seeing the reaction of these images. I'm a comic. I crossed the line. I moved the line, then I cross it. I went way too far. The image is too disturbing. I understand how it offends people. It wasn't funny. I get it. I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. I will continue. I asked your forgiveness, taking down the image, going to ask the photographer to take down the image, and I begged for your forgiveness. I went too far. I made a mistake, and I was wrong.
Question number one. Does she need to ask my forgiveness? Do I even need to grant her forgiveness? I don't know that she sinned against me. I get it. She sinned against the nation's president. I understand that, and I can understand his wife, his children, family members being sinned against. That I get. Have I been sinned against by Kathy Griffin because she was way over the line with supposed humor? I don't know that that's even my role, but let's just say that it is. She has asked the world, including you and me, for forgiveness. Do we grant it? I think the answer to that is, of course we do. Luke and chapter 6, I do believe about verse 37, Jesus talked about this very issue of forgiveness. And this is a tricky little section of Scripture because it almost seems like our willingness to grant forgiveness causes God to grant us forgiveness. And that is exactly the opposite of the message that Jesus was trying to help us understand. Jesus tells us that if you have understood how much that you have been graciously forgiven, you will graciously forgive. That's just what a Christian does. If Kathy Griffin has now sinned, I think once on New Year's Eve, I'm flipping by the channels, and I caught Kathy Griffin, maybe with Ryan Seacrest doing the New Year's Eve thing, and she was foul. Okay, so she offended me now twice. How many times have I offended God before I had breakfast this morning? A gazoodle, that's more than 2. When I remember how much I have been forgiven, I can quickly forgive. Now, this is not to address the issues of reconciliation and being with somebody who has sinned against you if you're in physical danger. That's an addition to the conversation. The overall posture, the trajectory of the Christian is, you sinned? You asked for forgiveness? Are you kidding? I grant that in a heartbeat. Even if you're Kathy Griffin, even if it happens to be that you've really committed the crime against somebody that I really, really, really like. And that appears to be something that is a bit of a reveal on this situation. It seems to me, now this is, who can do a thorough scouring of the internet, but it seems to me, as best I could tell, by looking at some Christians who have blogged, why wouldn't we want to forgive this woman? Wow, the response from so many Christians, absolutely shocking. I went to one particular website and I was just staggered. This is a Christian website. I'm going to leave names out of it. It was a Christian website. Somebody commented, well, that apology sure seemed good to me. Well, she made no excuses. She didn't try to defend herself. Not only did she just apologize, she asked for forgiveness, confessing her guilt. Does it get any better than that? If my child committed a sin and apologized like that, I'd be, well done, son. Well done, daughter. That's exactly the way a Christian should do it. Now, we recognize she's not, but it was a perfectly fine apology. And this particular blogger said, so it seems to me, good to go in my book. Some of the responses do not make you encouraged about some folks in the Christian community. Some people just flat out said, I'm not going to forgive her. Wow. As I mentioned, I'm not sure that we've been sinned against. Nevertheless, no, I'm not going to do it. Let me take you to Judge not, and you shall not be. Maybe it wasn't 37. And he spoke, was it verse 39, not above his teacher? Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eyes, but do not perceive the plank in your own eye? How can you say, let me remove the speck, hypocrite? First remove the plank. And this is in Luke chapter 6. Oh, wait a second, back up a little bit. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those, for even sinners lend to sinners to receive good back. But love your enemies, do good and lend, hoping for nothing in return. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Why do you judge other people? Forgive as you have been forgiven. If you do not forgive, Jesus says, it is a sign that you do not understand your own forgiveness, or you yourself have not been forgiven. But wait, I also heard, get ready for this. One of the blog posts was, well, of course I forgive her, but her behavior is simply inexcusable. What? I thought forgiveness means tossing it into the sea of forgetfulness. People still crying for her head. I forgive her, but she still should be fired. Are we sure we want to be playing that game? Really? Do we want to be calling for the firing of anybody who says something dopey on their private time? Don't we lament this when we see, for instance, a Christian teacher or a Christian student put something on their private Facebook and then get kicked out of school because of it? We go, whoa, 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 it's on his private time. He has the right to say whatever he wants. If we're going to be consistent, should we be calling for the firing of Kathy Griffin, which, by the way, has already happened? Some Christians posted, she's just not sincere. That could be. I have no way of judging that. It seems sincere to me, but nevertheless, maybe it wasn't sincere. I can't judge that person's heart. I don't know what was going on inside of there. All I can read is what I heard. Now, I don't know if that exactly works logically, but why would I try to question her motives? Some people did. She's only doing this because she's been receiving pressure and she's under the threat of losing her job. Maybe, but I don't know. It seems to me at this moment, and certainly not all Christians are responding that way, but it appears too many are. And it appears to me that we should be in the forefront of saying, forgiven and forgotten. I'm not going to buy a ticket to your show, Kathy. You're not my cup of tea. But what did you say about Donald Trump and the head and the platter, whatever? Because I've forgotten it already. We should be leading the way of saying, if you indeed sinned against us, Kathy, you are forgiven because we are the people who have been forgiven much. May I tell you about that, Jesus? This is Wretched Radio.
Thanks for listening to the Wretched segment du jour. If you'd like more Wretched, you can listen to the most current stream for free at wretched.tv/listen, or you can become a club member and listen to our entire archive. Wretched, reaching the lost, equipping the saints, and strengthening the local church.